Hi friends, Mindy here. I have a process video for you today. I'm going to be covering this little pocket journaling Bible from Bythewell4God. This comes as a kit with everything that you need. It comes with journaling cards in 4 different colorways. It comes with 4 sheets of little mini stickers. These are similar to what you can get with the original kit. You have your directions, end papers, and fabrics. It's a little pocket ESV that's a New Testament Proverbs and Psalms. And this month they did the fabrics a little bit differently, and they put a lot of love and care into this one. So they did kind of a bright colorway and kind of more jewel tone colorway. Obviously this is the one I'm going to be using because it has purple on it. So I am just, they actually sewed like 3 different fabrics together instead of just giving you one kind of sheet of fabric to choose from. So I'm going to dry fit this just to get started here, just to make sure that I don't mess up and not leave myself enough room. So I just kind of clip those on. I get a lot of questions about these clips. I got them in my grocery store near the automotive section, but you can get ones that are very similar at the Dollar Tree. You can use paper clips, you can use binder clips, you can use whatever you have. I just like to kind of dry fit this just to help myself out a little bit. And I decided I really kind of like this square. They always kind of add an accent fabric in there as well. And for some reason, I was just feeling doing this little triangle thing over the spine. So I'm going to mess around with this, and I have decided to leave this whole video intact because basically I was fumbling my way through this one. I have covered these Bibles a bunch of times, but for some reason this is just how it goes sometimes. And so I just thought I would leave it in, mistakes and all, and so you can kind of see. So what I'm doing here with this extra little piece of fabric is just tearing off just a little bit off of the edge, just because I want that kind of frayed look on this piece of fabric, and also to make this square just a little bit smaller so that I can get it kind of in the place that I want. So basically it's going to cover the spine and then come to a point in the middle on the front and the back. And I don't know why. It just seemed like the right thing to do. So I am going to be using Cocoina glue. You can get it in these little small tubes or the bigger ones, or you can even get it in a paste. I believe Bythewell4God still has those. They might have those in the tub that has a little like brush on the inside that you can use, which is really handy. I'm trying to use up my glue sticks that I have here. So for some reason I started to cut the fabric, got a little ahead of myself here. Like I said, I'm just leaving all of this in. So this video is about 12 minutes long. It's at double speed, so this whole thing took me about 25 minutes, something like that. So I just went ahead and added the Cocoina glue there all over that one side, and then used my clip to kind of hold it in place. And now I kind of work in sections. So I'm going to be working over the spine here, and I have covered these little Bibles a bunch of times on my channel. So if you want a more in-depth version, I do have other videos that you can watch too, but I'll try to kind of walk through all of the things. So I did just kind of wrapped around to the back side, and then I'm just using those clips again just to hold it in place just for a minute while I work on this outside, this spine piece. And so I'm trying to get this kind of where I want it to go. So I'm just applying the glue down the spine. That just seemed like the best way to start this process. And I apologize that I'm a little bit off camera here. I'm having all kinds of problems. So my desk chair keeps like sinking down, and so I'm just a hot mess today. So y'all just have to bear with me. But and then when I was going to kind of try to line this up, I realized that I had accidentally somehow moved the fabric, and so like pulled it in a weird way. So now I'm kind of having to readjust that. And then now I'm just adding the glue on the back. I'm just kind of trying to add it to the little fabric piece because I don't want excess glue on my cover, obviously. So I'm just gluing that down, and then I'm just kind of rubbing it just to make sure that it's really well adhered. You do have some working time with Cocoina glue. That's a really good thing about using it, and it's a paste, so it's not going to stick through, like sink through your fabric unless you just add like an absolute ton of it. But I would say here that if you do decide to use the lighter colorway for the cover, you may consider actually painting your cover, because if you got one of these black Bibles, I feel like that black would probably show through that other lighter fabric. And so you may want to consider just giving it a coat of white acrylic paint or gesso, and that way your colors will stay more true. And you can certainly paint these. It's not gonna hurt them at all. So I'm not needing to do that because I'm using these darker fabrics, but for sure you could do that if you wanted to with the lighter ones. And here at the spine, we're around kind of the text block. I'm just cutting out some little V shapes. I am fumbling with this. I really probably need to invest in some fabric scissors. I am just using my little Tim Holtz ones, and sometimes it just doesn't want to cut fabric very well, and I'm trying to hold the book open, and I don't know. I just was very fumbly today. I don't I don't know why, but I just was. So I'm going to start on the back cover here, and I'm going down the long side first, and then I'm going to add the glue to the top. And then for some reason so I ran out of glue here in this glue stick, and then I just folded this over, and then I remembered I needed to kind of wrap this around the corner, so I just pulled it back and kind of just pleated it around the corner. And I'm going to grab another glue stick here. You can just see this is just the kind of day I was having today. So I'm pulling out this other glue stick now. And the good thing about this one is it's brand new, and so it's not going to be quite as sticky. This Cocoina glue is pretty sticky, but it's good stuff. So I'm just kind of folding this around. You can kind of see how I'm just sort of pleating it around. And then I'm going to add those little clips right on the corners, just where those excess fabric pieces are, just to give them a little bit of time to dry, and make sure that they're not going to come unfolded. And then I'm going to just flip around and do the front cover again, starting with the long side. I just find that it works easier this way to kind of pleat around the corners. If you had something that was like a square corner, you could just miter that and it would be no problem. But because these are rounded, I just kind of like to pleat it around there. I just feel like it gets a better edge for me personally. But you guys, you can do it however you want to. You could certainly just do a square wrap on that and it would be fine as well. So again, just folding this over to kind of pleat it, and then folding all that excess fabric onto the inside, and then I'm just gonna put my clip in there to hold that closed. And then I do keep a baby wipe with me when I'm working with this Cocoina glue, because like I said, it's very sticky and it kind of gets everywhere. It's great glue. It gives you a few minutes to work, but it's pretty sticky. So I need to tuck these little excess fabric pieces. These are from the spine. I'm just opening up the Bible and kind of pushing the covers back on themselves. It just helps open up the spine. And then I'm just using my very fancy paper clip there to poke that fabric just down into the spine, and it will stay. I do add a little bit of glue, but it's going to stay tucked down in there nice and neat. I did cut a little bit of the excess fabric off on this edge, just to make it a little bit easier to tuck in there. And then that is pretty much the cover. And I do have this long piece. This is also one of the pieces that comes with the kit, and you could use this for, accent fabric. You could use it to create a closure if you wanted to, but I really wasn't feeling that. So I remembered that in my stash of things, I have some seam binding. I got this from Scrap Cabin on Etsy, but you could certainly just buy white seam binding and dye it yourself with, distressing, because I have done that before. For a while, Bythewell4God sold just white seam binding. I don't believe they have any currently in the shop, but they did have some there. So you definitely can buy just white and dye it whatever color you want to, and it gets crinkly and it's fun, and I just really like the texture of it. So I have this in purple, so I'm going to cut off a couple of lengths of that, and this is going to function as my closure. So again, just gonna fiddle with this a little bit. So I'm adding some glue here on the inside, and then I want to make sure that this piece is flat, so I'm kind of straightening it back out, and then I'm going to use my little clips just to hold that in place while that glue is just setting up a little bit, just to keep everything in place. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the back side, and I'm trying to get them in the same rough, area. Certainly if you wanted to do this, you could measure it if you felt that was necessary. I just am eyeballing it, because that's just how I roll. So and then just making sure that that is glued down, and then again adding another clip. I'm using a piece of deli paper. You could use wax paper or just computer paper or whatever, just to kind of protect my pages from this next part. So I need to now add these end papers in to cover up the fabric, and these are always pre-cut. They come with your kit. They're exactly the size you need. All you have to do is fold them in half. I like to burnish them down with a bone folder just to get a nice crease on there. And I always start with the page that's like inside the Bible, and then I line that up, and I just find I get the best results when I do it this way. So I'm going to kind of push that fold down into the gutter there, and then line up this paper so that I don't have anything overlapping. Just making sure you do have, like I said, with this cocoa bean glue, you do have some wiggle room here. You can slide things around. You can remove it and replace it if you need to. And then I'm going to now do the opposite side, and then I'll kind of use my fingers and tuck that back down, that, you know, crease back down into the gutter, and then line that up on the cover. And then I'm going to replace my clips, especially in those areas on the two corners and where that extra fabric is for my closure. I got some glue on there. I'm just using a baby wipe to clean that up because I don't want it to glue on itself. So and then I'm going to move this again so that I'm really wanting to protect the Bible pages themselves from this glue on this aspect of it. So I just going to do the same thing. I'm doing the end paper first and then lining that up, and you know, the corners around it on these pages, it's so easy. That's why you can do this project. It's just a real quick project, and they make great gifts. They make good sermon notes. I mean, there's just so many uses. If you've watched my channel at all, see me do this before, you know I'm a big fan of these little pocket Bibles. If you wanted to work through the devotional in one of these, you could certainly do that. Taryn did that last month, and it's a good quick way to you know, get all of those things done. You can give them as a gift. You could put some encouraging notes in there. All kinds of things you can do. These are just a great little project. So I'm going to pull these off just for right now so you can kind of see what this is going to look like. And I'm going to very carefully tie a bow so you can kind of get an idea for how this closure is going to work. I will leave this sitting under some heavy books overnight just to make sure that glue dries really well. But that's how it's going to look. So if you like this video, I would appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And until next time, bye.